fuckers, galactic criminal here. And I am one hyped individual today, man. Some motherfucker in the comments, I lost his goddamn name, said something along the lines of, I dare ya to check out Holy Ghost, the Architects documentary. I have a pretty strong fucking feeling this is gonna be the sort of making of style thing for the new album. But let's go ahead and find out Holy Ghost with a 1, 2. I'm excited. Can you tell?
I guess the biggest lesson I've learned that's repeatedly come to me and actually sort of underpins the whole meaning behind the record is just that you can go through terrible things and come out as a better person at the other end of it, and you can come out as maybe a happier person, or there's growth and evolution in going through those nightmarish situations that befall us all at some point or another. And I think it's kind of just how you deal with it and how you face it. It was something that I think, Tom showed as well a lot. He kind of looked at cancer as kind of a teacher, I guess, in a way. Like, it made him a better person, as crazy as that I'm sure sounds to some people. So yeah, I think it's if I'm going to take anything away from the last 18 months, it's just pain is inevitable and sometimes necessary, and some people disagree with it, but if you're not going to use suffering as an opportunity to grow and evolve and become a better person, then what's the point,
Yeah.
Architects guitarist Tom Searle has died aged 28.
We've been touring the world for over 10 years, put out 8 albums.
just like my life.
Tom was the main songwriter who wrote everything.
That the band are currently unsure about their future.
And I think people would completely understand if we were just to go, we can't do it.
A massive part is just like, we've got to keep this alive for Tom. We've got this massive legacy.
We have been a band for fucking 13 years and 7 albums.
It's really like holding on to smoke.
Just that new reality, you know what I mean?
I felt protective over Tom's legacy.
I can't think of any situation like it.
You couldn't really think of anything more personal.
His twin brother and Architects co-founder Dan remains the band's drummer.
I can't tell. Oh yeah, just keep saying. I just want to hear Wales.
Initially, after everything happened, we had a tour booked in with Bring Me in Australia, and Dan was like the first person to be like, right, let's go.
It was the right thing to do in the sense that there would be no point in just sitting around and being stationary and just having all these emotions and just kind of general disorientation about everything.
Since the first outing as Architects Without Tom, it was like a massive deal. But it was important.
But it was definitely a very unique time to try and just that new reality, you know what I mean?
And then came home for a couple of weeks and then did a European tour that finished in the UK at Brixton. And pretty much straight after that, maybe within the month after that show, Josh sent me a couple of songs. I sort of took them apart and made them into, you know, that Architects kind of character. I suppose that was the moment that I realised that, okay, well, so we could do something here.
I didn't maybe realise how much I'd learnt from him until we started writing. And I would be like, well, okay, I can do this. I remember doing this. And, you know, the way Dan would give me an idea or the way he would sing it, it would be like, this is so crazy. It's almost like Tom's still here.
Trying to make an album after something like that's happened comes with all sorts of insecurities and all sorts of challenges, but really Dan has kind of pushed everyone through that, and he's pushed himself through it as well.
My brother was the songwriter. He has died and we're carrying on without him, and then I've written the album about that. So it's sort of like has engulfed, it engulfed my life, and everything to do with it is about my life. So you couldn't really think of anything more personal.
Then Josh would start sending Dan songs, and then Dan would start reworking them, making them more sort of like architectsy, and then Josh was sort of figuring out the way we worked, and then Dan was managing to like make songs that Tom had left into like 3-minute songs.
I think we all knew in the back of our minds that Josh was going to be playing with us. He came into the fold, he already had material to contribute, and from then on it was, okay, we have a starting point.
You know, Josh was someone who was sort of historically been in and around the band. And yeah, you know, he was someone who spoke at Tom's funeral. He's someone who's close to us, and he's someone that Tom had said he wanted to play with us, so.
We sort of spoke about like a working dynamic, and in Architects it's actually quite refreshing to just write as like loads and loads of stuff and just not have to worry about the agony of like arranging parts. I can give him a song that's like 5.5 minutes long, and then he can chop it down and just remove bits that he doesn't need.
Who am I to create a song for a band that's been around this long and done this much and is at the level it's at, you know? It's a high level to start debuting your own material. So yeah, hopefully people don't hate them, because then that would be really sad for me.
We're at Millennium Studios in Bedford, just on the last day of pre-production for our headline tour. Off to Europe on Wednesday, we start in Zurich, then we've got 8 shows in the mainland, and then we come back over to London to go play Ali Pali, and we're basically just rehearsing the set, rehearsing the production, trying to get everything tight before we go and play. All right, Fred. Yep. Stage right, this is where the party's at apparently. Yet to see it. What are you guys up to?
Cab Sims, dude.
Very exciting. Cab Impulses. It's a pretty standard backline for us. Besides this monstrosity, which is my new keyboard rig, this is a big part of rehearsal for me, learning how to sort of play that. It's very simple, but yeah, not a keyboard player. The most important part of the show up here.
The machine. I can't possibly see how that's the case, Alex.
You're vital, Fred.
Why?
And up behind him, you'll see what has been referred to as the trampoline. for projections, but it does just look like a big trampoline when it's not being used. My stuff and Josh's stuff is over here, and various computers that are doing all sorts of things which I don't understand. But what I will say is it's a growing machine, and it needs to all be tested out and go wrong a few times before we actually perform, so it doesn't all happen there. So that's why it's so important to come and do this.
That's cool. It's really interesting to be seeing the whole, like, kind of behind the scenes. He just walks up and goes, eh? Holy fuck.
Some of those nights in Europe, in fact, every night of that tour, was ridiculous. It was like, I remember we walked into the venue in Prague and I stood on stage. I was just looking out, it's like, how has this band got to this level? How are we playing venues this size?
Everything this band has been doing, considering what our style of music is like, seems surprising to me. And it seems, I don't know, I like to think that the band has a lot more to it than the surface value of being an aggressive metal band. There's a lot of values that the band holds.
What we've done a lot on this album is stand on stage in front of thousands of people and cry as men, and that's been important, and it does tie into the record. You know, having these big collective experiences that create this sense of unity that's really absent in our society. You know, allowing people to be real. You know, strangers crying with each other, and that was a big thing that I heard a lot in Ali Pali. It was just strangers hugging each other, and people were able to cry. And yeah, they're crying for Tom, but they've probably lost people in their lives that they haven't really dealt with it fully, and they haven't been able to express that fully. And it's kind of been like a forum for those people to get together because they haven't had a chance to do that publicly. And I think that's a really important thing that needs to be addressed.
You know, there's obviously there's a story to the band, and I think people are invested in us as a group of people as well now. So it's not just about like, oh, this album's cool, let's go and see this band live. It's more about like, I don't know, it feels like people want us to do well, and I feel like that translates to us being able to sell out Ali Pali.
Now I think I know why the guy, like, dared me to check this out. Very emotional.
Playing Ali Pali was...
Sorry for yelling.
I found that a bit overwhelming, actually. Going from playing to 3,000 or 4,000 people, when you then jump to 10,000 people, it's like such a massive jump still. And if we were playing to 10,000 people every night, it would feel like nothing, you know. But it's that jump.
It felt like a big roll of the dice, and the way that people reacted to it once we announced it, and the way that, I don't know, it felt almost kind of not real, in the sense that it's quite a difficult thing to process, because it was such a big occasion for us, and it was such like a, I don't know, it felt like such a leap from everything we had done before.
Tom would not have comprehended what this would have become. He wouldn't have comprehended Brixton either. It's just it's really hard to kind of wrap your head around for a metal band like us to even have anything remotely like this.
Ali Pali was strange for me, because it was like you waited so long for it, and then you get to the day and you're like, how has this been sold out? You're walking around the venue and walking in just like, you wait months for it to happen, and then it's there.
Thank you for making this such a perfect evening for us. I hope you felt every bit of energy that you've given us come back to you. If you know the words to this song, sing it for Tom, and sing it as loud as you fucking can. Gone with the Wind.
The weight of my world is resting on thin ice. When the sun I got something to say. When my brother was sick, I used to think a lot about this, about being here, specifically behind the stage with my brother, telling him I couldn't believe that we were here. I couldn't believe that we were playing this place, and he was better. It's at least 50% proof that manifestation is true, because at least his music is here, we are here, and you guys made it possible. So I want to thank you sincerely for being here, because it means everything to us. Because we have been a band for fucking 13 years and 7 albums. And on behalf of Tom, I would like to say thank you. Because he would be tearing up looking at 10,000 people here to see us play his songs. He would not fucking believe it.
Him having a kid is so cool. It's so lovely that out of something so dark can come something so amazing with him and his wife. And I think, yeah, he's the sole reason this album happened. Him and Tom, and him wanting to do Tom proud. And I think everything that we had learned from touring with those two, the rest of us, it was like, whatever you need, we'll go. I think Tom would be really proud of all of us, but Dan in particular.
Wow. Wow. I really liked that. That was fucking awesome. Again, I can see why the guy in the comments was like kind of daring me to check this out. It was, like I said before, it was very, very emotional. Almost got me a couple of times when they started to mention like playing the shows and just seeing like random strangers hugging each other and grown men just fucking bawling their fucking eyes out, like maybe thinking about somebody that they lost that they haven't totally gotten over yet, you know, and I completely relate to that feeling. Also, sort of on a side note, only some people kind of gave me a little bit of shit for my last reaction I did to Architects for Royal Beggars. I will say, for those people who weren't a fan of my opinion at the time, the song is absolutely, since that, grown on me. After hearing it a couple more times and listening to what some people had said, and obviously now hearing what they had to say about the making of this album being more so about, you know, Tom's death. I didn't really understand the song as it was in the video. You know, it was the different members of the band showing ways that they might have or might not have coped with the death of Tom, you know, abusing, you know, alcohol, drugs, or what have you, or the simulation of other people maybe using those things in that way, you know, for when someone's passed away and you're not sure how to deal with that fucking shit. It's tough. It's tough. But again, about that song Royal Beggars, I guess it was really just like the first pass style listen to it. And again, I've said before, if a song doesn't really get me the very first time around, it's probably not for me. But also, again, it is Architects, and I've become an incredibly huge fan of this group. Now, I'm also going to say a very much new fan of this group. I jumped on board with the last album, you know, so I haven't actually even gone back into their catalog yet. Which I do plan on doing, but I haven't gone back yet to listen to a lot of the older stuff. So there was points people made about there being a lot more cleans than that in some of their older stuff. You know, so people have been like following this band for such a friggin' long time, know a little bit more about that than I do. That being said, though, I do still hope that there are some more aggressive style tracks on the album. The few that we've gotten so far are very much depressive, and also, again, I keep saying that shit. This album is written about a very, very sad, impactful moment in a band's career, but also in like a fan's career of listening to the band for such a long fucking time. I mean, I've only had one album by this fucking group and come to love them so fucking much that like this shit impacts me. But yeah, just a really, really cool thing that they very well could have included, I guess, like with the album, maybe a download code or like an extra disc with having this on it. They could have very much put it behind a paywall, and they did not. They released it to YouTube, which is absolutely fantastic. Also, something I was thinking about during this and now after is how come I haven't checked out any Architects live? From what I got to hear from this video, they sound incredible live, which is kind of a fear, I guess, is like hearing a group on the albums and then going to see them live, or just seeing the video of them live and then not being as good, you know, so maybe kind of ruining that experience for you. But after hearing this shit, I'm absolutely gonna have to, either for a reaction or on my own, gonna have to check out some Architects live. But man, like I did say that like they kind of got me choked up when they were talking about, you know, losing someone that you haven't really been able to get past that shit yet. But then when like they're doing the fucking live thing and fucking Sam just fucking drops to his knees, the fucking that was a heart fucking clenching moment right there, man. I'm not sure if you were able to see that on my face, but fuck, man, no, that definitely almost got me, dude. Now I know this wasn't much of a reaction. Like half of this fucking video was me just pretty much fucking staring at the goddamn screen, but I was 100% engaged, wanted to hear everything that they had to say, dude, and then the live stuff was just fucking fantastic. But man, this was really, really fucking cool. I am, again, so fucking happy that they put this out on YouTube. I'm even that much more stoked now to get a hold of this new album. So hey, what did you think of this shit? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, there'll be a link in the description for this video, so you can go ahead and watch it for yourself, full screen, full audio, and get the full experience. And as always, have yourself a fantastic evening.